Thousands of teachers expected to take to the streets tomorrow demanding better pay. The statewide teacher walkout is being held in Raleigh, but hundreds of teachers from our area are planning to attend. And tonight, there are concerns about who will be in the classroom tomorrow. WUCT's Delaney Tarpley spoke to Superintendent Dr. Christopher Barnes about what plans are in place to make up for the nearly 300 teachers who will be out. Delaney, Dr. Barnes and the board had even considered making tomorrow a work day since so many teachers will be gone.
Yeah, but that idea was tossed out. It was voted down 5-2 at Tuesday's Board of Education meeting. Most school board members said it was too late for parents to find childcare, and with just a few days left in the school year, they didn't want to lose out on any instructional time. But now they'll have to contend with hundreds of teachers being out of the classroom.
While empty now, the streets of Raleigh will be filled with thousands of educators come Friday.
North Carolina brags about being #1 in business, but we are number 50 in supporting public education, and that's not sustainable.
The Kids Over Corporations protest is calling on teachers statewide to march and demand salary increases for public school teachers in the state budget. On average, teachers make about $60,000 per year in North Carolina.
When our teachers are not able to survive without an additional job, when they can't live in the county because it's too expensive for them, something has to give.
New Hanover County Schools Superintendent Dr. Christopher Barnes said more than 300 people are being brought in to help with school Friday. That's because so many teachers have taken time off, presumably for the walkout. More than 200 substitutes will be in classrooms, along with more than 100 people from the district's central office, Dr. Barnes included. In a statement to parents, Dr. Barnes wrote, quote, "School will look a little different in some classrooms. While there may be some adjustments, please know this. Every adult in our building, whether teachers, substitutes, support staff, or district personnel, is committed to making sure your child has a positive and productive school experience," end quote. School board member Tim Merrick was one of 2 members who voted to make Friday a work day to accommodate for the teachers who wanted to attend the protest. He still believes that would have been the right move.
I'm disappointed that we may not have the same quality of education experience because substitutes just cannot do what a regular classroom teacher can. And I'm disappointed that we are not supporting our teachers' desires to advocate.
But regardless, he said parents should not be concerned dropping their children off at school.
I do feel confident that we will have enough substitutes, whether that's our substitute teachers or people from the central district who will be in classrooms and make sure that our students are not left unattended.
Merrick is planning on attending the rally himself, saying he believes more funding for teachers and public education is in the best interest of New Hanover County Schools.
Dr. Barnes told me teachers were able to submit a personal leave request for Friday to be able to attend the rally. He says every teacher who requested the day off was approved. Delaney Tarpley, WECT News.